All right, you all. So, trigger warning. I'm going to be revealing some details in this video that can be quite graphic and disturbing. So, viewer discretion is advised. I will be talking about black gay adult content. So, just want to give you that heads up. But I do want to get this story covered because it has been tugging at my heart for quite a few days now. So, this story starts with a company that was founded by a man named Philip Blacker. This company originated in the year 2000, and it's called Flavorworks Cocodorm. You all, it is believed that this company is cursed, and some people have even accused Philip Blacker of, practicing voodoo or black magic, because it seemed like all the little young twinks that he had employed working for him for this company that were filming these scenes and living in his little dorm spaces or whatever to film this content 24 hours a day. It just seemed like they all met a very horrible end, or the ones that are still living, and it's not that many of them, honey. The ones that are still living just aren't doing so well in life. So let's get into the story. Now, you all, another disturbing fact about Philip Blacker is in the late 90s, he owned a company called Student Alliance, where basically he worked in tandem with Chicago public school system, and he also worked with an organization called the Horizons Youth Center. Horizons Youth Center was pretty much a safe space for young LGBT people between the ages of 16 to 24 who were either dealing with mental illness, homelessness, no support system, new HIV diagnosis, it varies, y'all. So it was a safe space for them. So it is said that he used his knowledge of the Chicago public school system and his resources with Horizons to, pretty much start to prey on and groom young black men, because he eventually knew he was getting ready to start this porn company in the year 2000. And so that's another disturbing detail. So you all, from 2000 to 2007, he basically owned a space in Chicago. And in this space lived anywhere between 5 to 20 young black twinks. And in this space, they were required to have, engage in sexual activities or whatever, because this was a porn production company that he had started. And you all, it was just when you look at his material from the years 2000 to 2007, it was just seedy, awful, it was crazy. Like I remember I used to look at it and feel cringeworthy. I used to suffer secondhand embarrassment for the models that he had working for him, because they all look skinny, they all look hungry, and they just it was whatever. Anyway, you all, trigger warning. I'm about to tell you something graphic, so you might want to tune out if you got a weak stomach. There was one scene that's caused so much controversy. A lot of people wrote in about it. They were disgusted. Well, 5 tops are taking turns on one bottom in this scene. And when they got through taking turns on him, they basically started to pleasure themselves. And once they pleasured themselves, they would put their love juice inside of one wine glass. So one top pleasured himself, put his love juice in the wine glass. He would hand that glass to the next top, who would do the same thing. Once all 5 tops had put their love juice in this one wine glass, and they had mixed all of their love juices together in one little whatever, they basically handed the glass to the bottom and encouraged him to drink it. It was so disgusting, just vile. I just want you all to get a feel of how vile and disgusting of a person that he was, and what he had these young boys doing. And get this, y'all, he was only paying these men free room and board and $1,200 a month to do all these vile and disgusting things. So in 2006, the CDC ended up filing complaints with the city, because it was found that there was like a uptick, like a pandemic of just young black gay men, spreading syphilis, gonorrhea, and HIV virus. They were just spreading it all around. And when they were interviewing these people, you know how you come to the clinic and the doctor's office and they interviewing you, trying to figure out where you could have gotten this from, what kind of practices, sex practices were you practicing. A lot of these young men end up confessing to the fact that they were doing adult film content with the Cocodorm in Chicago. So it was found that hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of young black gay men that worked for him in Cocodorm at a point, had contracted all these STDs or whatever. And when they would stop working for him or end up moving on, they would go out in the general public and continue to, have unprotected sex or whatever. So a lot of, around between 2006 and 2010, it was just bad, child. But anyway, 2006, the CDC ended up filing complaints with the city officials, and they eventually, thank God, got the Cocodorm shut down. However, Philip obviously did not want to lose his cash cow, because even though people knew that, all of these diseases had started, because of him and the vile practices that he had going on, they were still subscribing and watching the BS. He eventually moved his operation to Miami. But baby, I'm gonna tell you something. The Miami residents got his ass together. When they got wind of what had happened in Chicago, that the epidemic of, STDs that he had started from his models, baby, they let him have it. So baby, they all got together and they cited him for zoning issues or whatever. So I want to say by the end of 2007, or at least 2009, I want to say, Cocodorm Flavor Works was indefinitely shut down, which means they couldn't operate in these dorm housing no more, whatever. They stopped it. They eventually shut it down. And, I think we all breathed a sigh of relief for that happening, because again, it was so many young black gay men lives ruined, after working for this man. And I'm going to go into now a few of the young men whose life he ruined, and how he didn't pay for funeral, didn't show up, didn't say nothing or whatever. But a lot of it stemmed from when they worked under his leadership. So hope you guys got a strong heart for this one. This young man, his name is Markel. I remember a post a few years ago coming down my timeline saying that he had passed away. But when I was doing this video, I tried to get more information on him. I could find nothing. But there was somebody in the comment section the other day who wanted me to do a story time on him. And a couple of people did confirm that he passed away. So if you all have any information on what his government name is, or if you can confirm that he did pass away, that would be nice. Drop it in the comment section. But his name when he worked for Cocodorm was Markel. That was the alias that he worked under in Cocodorm. This is one of the most mysterious. Now, this man's name was Justin Washington, and he went under the stage name Snow Bunny. So he stated that in interviews that he had been getting tested on a regular. These tests were coming back negative. One day, I guess he was feeling feverish or had symptoms of pneumonia or whatever. So he takes himself to the hospital, They found out at that moment that he had full-blown AIDS. And he thought it was impossible, because he was like, I've been getting tested. They've been come back negative. What are you talking about? And again, they were like, well, this is according to his interview. The doctor informed him that they believed that the HIV had lied dormant in his lungs for at least 5 to 6 years, which means when he contracted the HIV, he was only 18 years of age, because he was 24 when he got the diagnosis, the full-blown AIDS diagnosis. He is still living. However, his life has just been plagued with tragedy, He's been arrested time after time again for domestic violence and DUIs. So, let's keep him in prayer. So this guy who went by the name of Lamar while working for Cocodorm, a couple of years after he stopped working for Cocodorm, I believe he was still doing adult film content. But one day he was at a gay pride event. He left the event, got in the car, and on his way home, he would he lost control of the car and ended up crashing into a building, but he did die on impact. So that was another tragic case of a former Cocodorm model. And lastly, this has to be one of the most touching to me, and that's only because I witnessed it firsthand. So I remember, one day I was standing at the bus stop. I wasn't driving at this point, and this young man walked past me, and I remember, it was sad because he was talking to himself and he was laughing, and I will never forget this as long as I live. He had on a beige jogging suit. When he walked past me, around his buttocks area, you could see bodily fluids back there. Like he just was just out of it. And this was around 2011, 2012. Well, a couple of years later, he was ranting on Facebook one day about how he was in and out the hospital, surgery after surgery, and nobody was there for him. And he cursed his mom out, on this Facebook post or whatever. And people were saying, calm down, what's wrong? Stop doing this. Get this off Facebook. It's not the place for it. But only 2 days after making that post, he had passed away, and it was rumored that he passed away very lonely or whatever. And I'm going to show you down. This is the picture of him when he worked for Cocodorm. I want to show you all what he looked like before he passed away. So this is a picture of what he looked like before he passed away. So in hearing this story, do you not feel like Philip Blacker practiced some sort of voodoo and had it in for these young black boys? Do you not feel like Cocodorm Flavor Works was a cursed production company to begin with? Drop your comments.